So it's officially been 1 month since we got the big update that Ripple was applying for a national bank charter from the OCC. Now, on top of this, they also applied for a Fed master account, which we said was very important because what this means is that it opens up the doors for ROUSD reserves to be held directly with the Fed. This provides that huge additional layer of security to future-proof trust in ROUSD. Now, it has been 1 month, and we have yet to see a big update with this. But I will say this. One thing that we just got was this post from Wrath of Kahneman. And this is actually regarding that Ripple National Trust Bank application. And we have here Ripple's OCC banking license application is now available. Volume 1 is the public release. The application provides some clues about Ripple's intentions and the structure to consider as well. Now, starting off with the first part, first and maybe obviously, Ripple is applying to charter a limited purpose OCC regulated national trust bank. It would enable custody of ROUSD reserves and operating regulated infrastructure for tokenized finance and future Fed access. Here we actually have the full breakdown regarding how Ripple Labs Inc., Ripple Labs, a sponsor acting through the named organizers, proposes to form Ripple National Trust Bank, the trust bank. And when we look into this, obviously, yes, it really is opening up the doors for a lot of things. It's not just based around, ROUSD. It's also based around custody, tokenization, and even just Fed access. This is a very big deal to focus on because once this does get approved, which I do assume that it will get approved, it's going to be a massive green light for Ripple. On top of this, we have down here, so it won't be retail. The CRA says it doesn't apply to national banks that don't engage in any lending or deposit-taking activities and whose biz consists exclusively of fiduciary activities, no deposits or lending, strictly B2B banking and infrastructure, probably obvious. So yeah, this is not based around retail. It's not focused on retail. Ripple is focused on one thing: institutions. It's even very clear when they talk about the XRP ledger, right? We've actually addressed this on so many different videos where we were mainly addressing institutional DeFi use cases on the XRP ledger. Just going from, what we've seen over the years to where we are now, one thing has always stayed consistent, and that's Ripple's focus on the institutional players, working with the big banks. This has never changed. It's the number one reason why XRP has always been called the banker's coin. It's because forever, Ripple has been fully locked in on institutions. It was never about retail. Now, this trust bank is explicitly built for ROUSD. Notice no mention of XRP here. Conjecture: it behooves Ripple to distance XRP from the bank's regulatory application to avoid conflating an OCC supervised trust bank with a token at this point. That said, nothing precludes future XRP integrations, which I would assume will happen, especially when we think about ROUSD use cases, DeFi use cases, institutional DeFi use cases, you name it. On top of that, this is interesting because it means Ripple Labs owns the bank, issuing their own private stock to the executives. Also interesting that it is confidential. A friend remarked that this is common for businesses interested in an IPO. And yes, here we actually have that full breakdown regarding how we could see Ripple stock essentially becoming a reality. Describe all stock benefit plans of the institution and holding company, including stock options, stock warrants, and other similar stock-based compensation plans for senior executive officers, organizers, directors, and other insiders. And yes, this will be confidential. It will be basically, private, which is pretty clear. Outside of that, summary. We know Ripple wants a national bank charter to create a banking compliance subsidiary to handle tokenization management. They are not seeking a money transmitter license or deposit insurance. If they were granted Fed access to, they would become real liquid infrastructure. This would be huge. And yeah, when we think about what's really, I would argue the real path here is that Ripple wants to be seen as a legitimate and very serious institutional player. They've always wanted to become that institutional infrastructure powerhouse. It's the number one reason why we've heard from Monica Long, David Schwartz, Brad Garlinghouse on how they want this all-in-one umbrella. They want custody, they want stablecoins, they want payments, they want DeFi. They want all of that under one roof, and they have it. This license would be that last major puzzle piece to put the picture together to make sure that Ripple is that dominant player in this world of, this new world of finance for the institutional sector. They would be the enabler of almost everything for institutions, institutional DeFi, institutional custody, you name it. Now, on top of that, the board is stacked, as you guys can see. We've already kind of addressed the board before, but when we think about how big of a move this actually is, it's extremely significant for Ripple, and it's also significant even for XRP. Even though XRP is not like the main selling point around this, it's more so ROUSD. Future XRP integrations will definitely be something to watch for, and I do believe that they will happen. Now, on top of that, let's just go back to July 9th, because this is where we got the confirmation from Brad Garlinghouse about why this is a big deal, specifically more so about the regulation side. And I think that this is more important to bring up now than ever before. And the reason for that is because think about what just happened with the SEC. We just got a huge green light across the board for crypto in the US. This benefits Ripple and even XRP, more than almost anything else in this space. Obviously, a lot of those utility-based projects and specifically US-based companies also get that big benefit, like Hedera, for an example, Algorand, Stellar. But listen closely to what Brad Garlinghouse is talking about here.
You still want a banking license, right? Even though you have this deal with BNY.
Well, yes is the short answer. We have pursued and requested application to apply for an OCC license as well as a Fed master account. We think that the key here for crypto and the kind of decentralized finance, as many people call it, Ripple has been building bridges between traditional finance and decentralized finance. The world isn't going to be taken over by crypto. Instead, we think about how do we take the best of what crypto brings in facilitating faster, cheaper transactions and bring it to traditional finance. That's been at the heart of what Ripple has been focused on from the beginning. This is a step towards that, and certainly getting an OCC license, for those that have said that the crypto world wants to be unregulated, whatever, the opposite is true. I'm here in Washington in part, as you referenced, there's a Senate Banking Committee hearing today. We are advocating as an industry to be regulated. And those that, like Ripple, who have stepped forward and said we want to get an OCC license, in addition to the licenses we have with the New York Department of Financial Services, it only continues to augment that very robust, very compliance-first, trusted partner so that we can continue to use these technologies to benefit consumers and businesses alike.
And again, what is Brad Garlinghouse addressing in this video? What is the main focus point? Did you get it? TradFi, those institutional players, the big money use cases. This is what they are locked in on. But also, when we think about this, yeah, we are starting to see some very significant regulatory moves happening in this space. At the same time, we're still waiting for the SEC to clear up this lawsuit because, again, they have been taking forever to actually give us an update. But when we look at what's happening in crypto, it reinforces these types of projects and these types of companies. They want to be a powerhouse in this new age of financial technology. Crypto is going to be everywhere. We know that that's the case. We know money is going to be moving over these digital rails, and companies like Ripple and networks like the XRP Ledger are going to be the keys for this. Now, when we look at what's happening here, I just made a post on X actually, and I said that during this recent downtrend in the market, ROUSD secretly passed $600 million in total value. It's very clear that Ripple is dedicated to ensuring that ROUSD becomes a top 5 stablecoin by the end of the year. I strongly believe that we are watching the beginning stages of ROUSD becoming one of the most dominant USD stablecoins in this market. Currently, most of the value is tied to Ethereum because of how established the stablecoin market on Ethereum is, but I still see this shifting eventually. XRP and the XRP-L will soon be the main home for ROUSD value, and stablecoin transactions will begin to accelerate more and more on these other networks. We are still very early. And yes, when we think about the stablecoin market right now, I mean, guys, we have $277 billion tied to it. And when we think about ROUSD, yeah, I mean, ROUSD continues to rise above these other stablecoins. I mean, right now, currently speaking, it's at $600+ million. That $1 billion level is going to be next. And once we get into that $1 billion level, I do think that we quickly move to $2 billion. If we really want to get into that top 5, it's going to take, you know, another like $1.5 billion added to the ROUSD supply within the next 4 months. If we really are talking about that top 5, you know, prediction from the Ripple team, you know, by the end of this year. But again, stablecoins just continue to skyrocket. Currently speaking, $3.16 trillion in monthly transfer volume, which is up 7.37% in the last 30 days. Market cap up 4.35%. Again, this is only showing us 256 billion, but we do know that it's at 277 billion. And this is just a market that continues to boom. And I think that this is supporting these underlying networks that are extremely scalable. This is why I keep saying focus on networks outside of Ethereum. Yes, Ethereum has been the powerhouse for stablecoin initiatives, even DeFi, right? The DeFi market basically lives on Ethereum right now, but that's only because Ethereum has been so established over the years as that dominant DeFi and even stablecoin powerhouse. But the dominance will shift, especially as we really kind of start to scale these types of use cases. The bottlenecks will be far too big to ignore, and the scalability issues will definitely hinder further growth for Ethereum. And that's not me being an Ethereum hater. I'm just being honest with you guys. The technology is just not there to, you know, really support what these institutional players and these enterprise players want to do with this technology, especially even tokenization, right? We talk about tokenization. I just made a video regarding tokenization at scale. It's not trillions of dollars, it's quadrillions of dollars. Networks that can scale to, you know, 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 plus transactions per second, they are going to be the future for this space. So even though right now Ethereum is the dominant name, this will continue to evolve, and it might not happen this year. It might not happen next year, but when we start to see more and more players move on chain, and we start to see these enterprises and these institutional players tapping in massive amounts, right? We're not talking about billions or millions. We're talking about the $1 trillion plus level. That's when we start to see these networks really get hit big in terms of demand and volume. That's when we'll see those big problems arise for networks like Ethereum. This is why I keep saying, yeah, right now, when we go back to stablecoins and we look at ROUSD, majority of this is on Ethereum. Ethereum is actually accounting for 537 million. That will soon shift. I strongly believe that. And again, even right now, currently, the XRP ledger, it still has $160 million in stablecoin market cap tied to it. This is up 33+% in the last 30 days. I really think people need to start focusing on what is happening on the XRP ledger. In the last 30 days, there's been a lot of growth from RWA value to even stablecoins on the network. And this will continue to, you know, grow. But the main thing that I'm looking at here is what this really does for Ripple, what this really does for even XRP, because even though it doesn't specifically mention XRP, there's no mention that there can't be XRP or XRP ledger, you know, integrations at some point, which I do assume will happen because of what we've been hearing from Ripple. But I'm waiting patiently for this. I'm waiting patiently because I do think that this is going to be that Ripple and XRP power play that will completely shock a lot of people. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, Nick, thanks for watching. Peace out.